Thank you very much. We have gone beyond the time of our webinar, but I hope that it has been interesting to most people watching us. I will share my screen in order to show a couple more questions that we have received in the meantime, and also provide again the floor to all speakers who can reply if needed. I think both questions are, one is for Pavel, I think the last one, and the previous one was late on the previous set of questions regarding the construction waste generated during the renovation. Have you included some material recovery options in the project? I think, Armin, that would be a question for you, I imagine.
Yes,
you do it.
No. If you want to say something, yeah, please do. But if I understand it right, that on the recycling part of material options here, and of course there is normally there is no plan normally how you can use it again, but of course it's very easy to disconnect everything of this wooden element and use it again as construction, for example. And of course there are examples, not in the school buildings, of course, where this is used at first time now in retrofitting, but there are other examples where old construction wood is used again as a construction, and also, of course, the insulation material is normally possible to be used again. But there, in our cases here, if this is the question, we didn't have a detailed plan how to recycle or to use every of the wooden element parts. So that's my answer here.
I can join on this answer possibly. From this year on in Austria, there is to do a waste plan. So if you renovate or knock down a building, you have to think about what do you do with the waste. And of course, we did this in this case. And for the new elements, of course, the discussion goes in the direction cradle-to-cradle management, and this is a topic for the next years. We try to implant this in our project at the moment. I would like to go to the next question about the aspects of VOC and other emissions. Of course, we are measuring this as well. We have an eye on any chemicals we are using in school renovations, and of course in our schools we are measuring the quality of inside air before we let the pupils in. But of course, the ventilation system is not thinking in detail about this VOX only, and the law didn't tell us to do this. But we, as planners, would like to do this. Also, we think about the materials we use. In the case of that, we use Nature Plus certified materials. And there is another question to me. Do you have any measurements on efficiency of night cooling? How do you operate the windows, mechanically or by hand? The windows are operated mechanically, of course. The operation of the windows works perfectly, but it was in the beginning an insurance problem. So take care about this. And of course, it would be nice to measure the efficiency of night cooling, because this would be worldwide maybe a big thing, but we didn't do it at the moment. We just simulated it before, and of course, I can tell you about how it is in reality. The reality is like this: that if the hot week goes over 14 days, for example, the night cooling effect getting less and less. But if the hot degrees, and hot we call 30 to 35 degrees outside, is only for 3 or 4 days, it's not a problem.
Should I add?
Thank you.
We have time for one very short comment on my side? Or?
Yes, I think, Pavel, it was the question was asked towards the end of your presentation, so I think it also refers to what you were saying.
This is a very relevant question, and of course we would like to have it, and I made a point in my presentation that originally that we didn't plan any measurements in the project, so we are happy to have some projects. And of course, it's relevant to find whether the VOC levels in the classroom meet the recommended levels. Here are 2 points to make. In retrofits, usually these are old buildings, so basically the initial emission from the building materials that would occur would be long gone. So the main source of pollutants would be the children and whatever pollutants that they bring. Generated by their activities, and teachers also. In the new construction, most of the materials now that would be selected would be a low-emitting materials compared to the past. So at the same time, so we would also see a very low contribution. We would expect to have a very low contribution of the emissions from building materials to the pollution levels or the exposure levels in the classrooms. Though there may be some chemical transformations that are occurring in the classrooms, and there may be some compounds that we don't know that could be would be creating a risk for health for children. So that is something that we really don't know. We would really like to have information on retrofits. For the new build, I would refer the participants of this webinar to the study that was made in France, where they actually measured the exposure levels in the new constructed low energy schools, and this is published and can be found on Google Scholar or any other portals. So this information, but for the retrofits, I have hard time to recall that whether there are any data on the exposure levels in the retrofits as regards VOCs. But as I say, major source of emission in schools would be children and their activities, except maybe for a few other unidentified compounds that we really don't know, and probably it's difficult to control for them even at the design stage, because we don't know which pollutants are we talking about. So.
Thank you very much. Marco or Armin, would you like to comment on the last question on the issue of insurance? And I think then we can close.
It was more Gerhard's part, because he said that there was an insurance problem with the opened window. But I think...
Gerhard, I've unmuted you. Can you...
Yes. They solved it that they had a construction in front of the window, still construction, so nobody a fence basically, nobody can get in, because if you have windows open, of course everybody could get inside the house and, for example, get the computers or something like this.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've managed to cover all the questions. As I said, we've significantly surpassed the original time of the webinar. I hope this is okay. And in any case, the full webinar will be made available as a recording and along with the PDFs of the presentations. So thanks to everybody who joined us today. Thanks to all our panelists today and to Renew School. I think it's been a very interesting project to present. I give you the floor for a final word if you want to, if any one of you wants to say. And by the way, I would like to extend BuildUp's invitation to projects under the Intelligent Energy Europe Last Call or Horizon 2020 that are relevant to energy performance of buildings to present their findings under BuildUp. BuildUp webinars are offered to such projects free of charge. Arvin, perhaps you would like to close the webinar?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think it was very well organized. Sorry for the technical problems in the beginning. It was my fault a little bit, our system here. But let's say thank you very much. It was also for me every time. It's very interesting also the questions. So have a nice day, and hopefully it will be in the future that we have a lot of interesting webinars. Thank you.